Tim Ferriss, author of The 4-Hour Workweek, a phenomenal bestseller and a good friend. Tim, I wanted to ask you a couple questions about just the success of the book, and congrats on it. By the way, it's been amazing.
Thank you.
I don't know if you expected this, but it's really impressive. So one of the big things that a lot of people talk about, and I know as you go to a lot of these events, is what's it like? What's Tim Ferriss like as a person? And so how important has it been for you to be you and write this book?
It's been everything, I think, and I actually, across 2 different media, have found that to be important, both the book and the blog. And what I mean by that is very few people know this, throughout the first 5 chapters that I wrote, I actually wrote 5 chapters and scrapped them because I hadn't found my voice. And that's a fancy way of saying I hadn't found a way to translate who I am, my personality, to the page. It either sounded too Three Stooges slapstick, or it sounded way too academic and pompous. And
Three Stooges in a book.
Right. So my real personality is somewhere in the middle. I don't think I'm that pompous, but who knows. And I think that my true personality, who I am, comes across on the page. And I think a big part of connecting with fans, readers, people who can be fans or readers, is being both vulnerable and somewhat eccentric. Because when you get to know anyone, they're both vulnerable on some level, they have insecurities, and they're eccentric in some way. Everybody is. No one's normal. And having the confidence to risk putting that on the written page or in a video blog or in a book is extremely important to allowing people to relate to you. Because if you put yourself on a pedestal or use the marketing messaging to make yourself an expert in everything and weak in nothing, that's not a personality. That's a billboard that someone manufactured in a sales meeting. And that's been extremely important for me for a number of reasons. One, it's fucking boring, pardon my French, to pretend to be someone else. And if you're planning your personality around a marketing message, it's not fun to write. It really just isn't any fun to write. And that's why in the very beginning, Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, America?
Yes. We got Shakira in the background, but we're good.
She's sitting right next to us.
She's actually standing right there, but she'll wait. She'll wait.
I got Shakira on my brain.
I know.
Everything
That's very distracting. I know.
But it's not fun to write. So very early on, I made a point of putting a few controversial posts out there. They weren't controversial for the sake of being controversial. They were just my opinions. And then I was past the point of no return. I could, once I announced.
Well, one of the things you talk about is don't focus too much on making everybody like you, because that's not really possible, right?
Right. No, absolutely. It's not going to work. And I think too many people, myself for a long time, spend a lot of energy and time trying to impress people they don't like anyway.
Right.
So just experiment. And it's hard to get out of that until you experiment with going the other direction.
So, I mean, you're a big advocate of doing experimentation. I mean, I know one of the great things about just your formula for success is that you've tried things and you look at how they work, and then you optimize what you're doing to actually learn from your mistakes. And a lot of people have trouble taking that. I don't know if I should call it methodical, but that sort of approach to life. But is that really what you need in order to have that 4-hour work week?
I think what you need is not some type of complicated methodology for doing microtesting. There are approaches to that, and I am an analytics geek, so I use all sorts of different plugins and Google Analytics and Urchin and all sorts of things to go crazy on my analytics. But you don't have to do that. What's more important is viewing projects as experiments, so that you give yourself permission to conduct these small tests in different directions. And what you'll find is when you put up a post that reflects who you are, and you know it's going to be unpopular to a certain percentage of your readers, that's fine. And in my experience, you'll lose 5% and gain 20%. And you don't want to be offensive for the sake of being offensive. I think that's just being an asshole. Which curse a lot in the mornings from Long Island, folks. I'm sorry. you don't want to be offensive just for the sake of being offensive, because then your audience is transient.
Right.
They're only going to like you for as long as you're attacking other people. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's who you want to be. But if you try to offend no one, you're not going to have an audience.
Right. So you need to be somewhat on the edge.
Right.
You need to do something different.
I think you just need to be honest. I think if most people, you should talk to your audience. This is what I tell people. You should talk to your audience the way that you would talk to close friends you haven't seen in a while after 2 drinks. Because then
it's a good formula.
Then it's like all the veneer comes off, and you can tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And you can tell them what you usually wouldn't tell people because you'd be too insecure to admit that you're nervous about something or you're bad at something. And
that's good advice.
I found that to work really well. And I do spend a good amount of time on posts. I don't just whip them together. There's a difference between every blogger should read a book called On Writing Well. Mm-hmm. On Writing Well is the best book you can read for communication that I've ever come across. And one of the distinctions that's made in that book is there's a difference between being, I think E.B. White also made this distinction, there's a difference between being casual, I think it was casual, and breezy.
Right.
These are a bit anachronistic, but so casual, you can write in a very informal style that still has a lot of style and is very clear, or you can write in a very excessively informal style that isn't edited, isn't grammatical in any respect, doesn't have to all be grammatical, and it's just messy and reflects sloppy thinking. You want to do the former, not the latter.
Gotcha. That's good. So, last question. One piece of advice you'd give for other individuals who are looking to sort of build their personal brand, or even companies trying to connect with that personal brand of the company.
Sure. What I would say is take a step back, and before you build a brand, before you build a blog, or before you really put a lot of time into a blog or a book or anything else, have a clear understanding, at least a direction. You don't have to know exactly where you're going, because I think 10-year plans are mostly nonsense, but just a direction of what you want out of it. So is that fame? Is that money? You have to get more specific. What do those things give you? Mm-hmm. Is that a car, a specific car? Is that traveling to Fiji once a year? Whatever those items are, you can get through means other than income. Whether that's, in my case, using certain relationships that I have to test the Audi supercar before it comes out in the U.S. That wasn't from income. It was from leveraging relationships and currencies like authority and audience. You don't need a big audience to do that. So focus also on who's reading your blog, not just how many.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was on Robert Scoble's blog, I think it was one of the first times my book went to number 3 on Amazon versus number 12 for Good Morning America with Matt Lauer and Donnie Deutsch on The Best Hour. And there are benefits to both of those, but it's not all about the numbers.
Right.
So focus on being honest with yourself, honest to your readers, and expressing some vulnerability and eccentricity. And also something I learned recently, this is actually from Mark Cuban. He said, don't write what you think your readers want to read. Write what you're passionate about. And it took me a while to think about that. And in every case, when I go back and look at my most successful blog posts, it's been things that I just had to put on paper because I felt strongly about them. And whenever I try to guess, even if it's based on feedback from readers, and write about something that 20 people ask me for it, even if I'm somewhat interested in it, it comes out not nearly as from the heart and compelling as the pieces that I just write because I have to put them out.
That's great.
And so I'd say you have something to tell the world, get it out there and be honest with yourself and other people.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks.